Big Apple. Out of the 8 million people that live in this city, I wonder how many of them stop to think about the history all around them. Wall Street is named after a barricade that used to be there. One built by Dutch settlers in 1624 to keep the English out. Back then, Manhattan was actually called New Amsterdam, until the English finally broke through and gained complete control of the island, renaming it New York. Clues to the past are hidden amongst the skyscrapers, subways, and street signs. I'm here because one New Yorker says she's discovered a mystery right in Central Park. A centuries-old tie between this modern city and ancient Egypt. That's a beautiful pendant. You must be Dorothy.
Yes, I am. Thank you. It's wonderful to see you, Scott. Here, sit down and let's talk. Do you know what this is?
I think so. That's a cartouche, and those symbols are Egyptian hieroglyphics. Cartouches are basically a rounded vertical oval shape that typically has the name of an Egyptian pharaoh. And they were often carved into stone and found inside the tombs of many of these pharaohs. And for archaeologists, they're very important because they can use them for dating. I don't think I know who that is, but I'll bet you do.
It's Thutmose III. He actually was one of the greatest pharaohs in Egypt because he expanded Egypt to its greatest size ever. And I did some research, and lo and behold, I found out that there's a monument in Central Park with this cartouche.
Really?
Yes.
Here in Central Park?
Here in Central Park. Why don't we go and take a look?
Sounds great. So your monument, it's an obelisk.
Many people in the city of New York and elsewhere don't even know that there is an Egyptian obelisk here.
So is this a real Egyptian obelisk?
Yes, it is known as Cleopatra's Needle.
It's covered in scaffolding. What's that all about?
Well, what happened was about 2.5 years ago, an associate and I, we sent some photographs of the obelisk in its current condition to the head of the Supreme Council of Antiquities in Egypt.
So what exactly were you concerned about?
We saw some cracks. The hieroglyphs were eroded. We were concerned that this was a condition that was going to continue unless some attention was paid to it.
All you have to do is look at it. You can see that the corners at the base are very degraded, and on the second level of scaffolding, you can't even see the hieroglyphics. And even though this thing is a granite, which is generally a very hard and durable rock, in a climate like New York with many freeze-thaw cycles, if you don't take care of it, it's going to fall apart.
That's right.
You mentioned something about that cartouche being on here.
Since the scaffolding is up there, we really can't see it. So I do have some photos here that you can see the cartouche right there.
So we know that this is the cartouche for Thutmose III.
That's correct.
But what does the rest of the hieroglyphics say on this obelisk?
What it generally says is that Thutmose was a great pharaoh and that he extends his gratitude to Amun-Ra for his greatness.
Amun-Ra, that's the sun god.
Yes.
The most important god of all of Egypt, for the simple reason that without the sun, there would be nothing.
That's right. And they understood that energy.
Sure.
During the time of Thutmose, the top of the pyramid, what's called the capstone, would have been covered in gold. And that would have radiated all over. And there were over 100 obelisks. And these all would have been lighting up all of ancient Egypt.
When Dorothy mentioned there were more obelisks like this, and that some were capped in gold, I remembered one I saw on a recent vacation in Paris. The obelisk of Luxor